Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So today I am going to show you how to create a workflow on n8n. If you are a beginner, if you don't know how to create a workflow, I will show you a very simple method that will help you find your scenario and let the AI create the workflow from A to Z. So here I have actually created a GTS. A GTS, quite simply, is an agent that I will share with you for free, which you can use unlimitedly. This agent knows all the instructions of n with n. I have integrated practically all the necessary information so that this agent can transform an idea into an automated workflow. I enter the workflow. Of course, stay until the end of the video. I will give you the link to access my free workflow. And here I will simply give it my request. Imagine that here I am going to ask it, who will create a workflow for me? Where the client will fill out a form, they will receive the data, it will extract the information from that client, it will send them a reminder after, for example, 3 days, and then it will update my CRM. For this case, I used the Notion CRM, and for sending emails, I chose Gmail. Afterwards, you are free to choose whatever you want. This is my request. This is my demand. You will see that, of course, it will explain to me, but it will try to understand and explain what I have. Present it to me as a workflow, so it's important to see this to validate the nodes. If I want to change, if I don't want to use Gmail, use something else or work with another CRM. And when I scroll down here a little, so there, it actually just asked me some questions. It asked me if I wanted to proceed with creating my workflow. Using all this, I will tell it yes. You can start. And there I give the green light. Of course, you can write this in the language you want. So if you start the spring in French, for example, you just follow this in French and you will see that here, in fact, it is developing a code, that this code there. Afterwards, I will copy it and go directly into my workflow, well into my software, n8n. So this, I am directly on my tool, and therefore I will create a new workflow, and you will see that there I will do control. That means paste the code. So I wait, of course, until it finishes. Because, of course, the more information you request, the more it will try to develop the maximum amount of data, as you can see there. So it is integrating the variables. All is the advice I give you when you start setting up a workflow. You shouldn't give it everything, meaning 150 nodes. Start with the basics, start working block by block, idea by ideas. For example, for me, if I look at my workflow, this one, I start working. In fact, this first part, then I start doing this part, then that one, and of course it will generate that for me. And especially I actually made it so that this workflow will ask you questions. That's what's important. Every time you request a task, it will ask you questions. So I do a copy. There you go. So I come here to my workflow, and there I paste it, and there you go, here it is. In fact, it actually gave me the base of this workflow. Here, of course, I find that it sets up some nodes for me. In fact, to actually understand some information. So that's very good. This sticker here allows me to understand the deployment and, of course, what remains to be done. I needed to connect Notion and then connect Gmail. But inside I can find that the system is well made. So there, as a result, when I make the connection, I can simply fill in with the correct information. And as a result, it allows me to go very, very fast and to simply have a system ready to be deployed very quickly. When you see it there, it asks me to actually select the database. So if I do this here, and I click there, I can of course select the database. Here is what corresponds to my request and my query, but what is very important when you see it here, it gave me the quick step. See there that it has been set up. In fact, here is the webhook. In fact, it also extracted the information from the form. It also worked on data formatting. It waited 3 days. And you see, for a beginner, for them to be able to do this quickly, it takes time. And even for me, as an expert, I use this tool to go very fast. And especially if I have a complex scenario, it helps me quickly create the primary modules so that I can subsequently proceed with the launch. So the question that arises is, how did I set this up for myself? I will give you direct access to this system, but to explain to you, in fact, what it consists of. You should know that today, of course, automation with n8n is very, very much in demand. So if I look here just in France over the last 2 months today, everyone is searching on the internet for the n8n workflow. And so, of course, I can simply learn the information and integrations for a beginner to actually understand everything. So I will show you an example. The nodes are a bit complicated, it's a bit difficult, even if you know how to configure them. But knowing exactly where you are going to place them and when you are going to use them, this or that node and the connection between these nodes, sometimes it's a bit complicated. So what I did, I tried to extract all this documentation. There on Road, I actually launched, here are some takes with DeepSec. I also combined some information with Google, and of course I called upon ChatGPT 4.5, especially in deep research and search mode, to go directly to this documentation to be able to create the ideal prompt that manages to extract the data in real time. Not to mention that today, you know that on n8n, we have a base of official templates. So there are templates submitted by experts. Some are free, others are paid. On the internet, I was able to find people who managed to extract the free ones. As a result, I tried to feed my workflow as much as possible this GTS with the maximum amount of data and information to help you. The remark I want to make is to always start progressively. That means I can ask it rather if we go back to the old workflow. So we will try to go back to that one. So there I can ask it to improve. Okay, so add it. Here's a new step, for example, via SMS. So in any case, you are actually free to add it, and so consequently it goes here. In fact, to update your workflow, you can require that you just ask it to add it there, and then you just copy the node and you will place it or take it. In fact, here is the complete code, so it will redo everything and reprogram, and that is very important. The discussion needed to continue here, especially if you can't integrate or configure it, in fact, a node. And it was very, very important to be careful to ask that AI on this GTS to help you, in fact, with the implementation. And it really helps to achieve very, very high quality. I can also add information that is very important today for testing n8n, so the workflows. You have the option, indeed, to take an account. In fact, a subscription on n8n, it actually gives you 14 days of free testing for free. And on the constraint side, I will have the limitation of having only 5 active workflows, and that's very few. As a result, there is the possibility to switch to other hosting providers. It's not just Hostingle, but personally, I use Hostingle. Why? Because first, the price is not too high. And above all, it allows me, as you will see here, thanks to this core server, to launch workflows unlimitedly and activate them without limits, and that's very important. It also gives me a 30-day trial, so after 30 days, if I actually didn't want to continue using this server, I can simply cancel. And that's very interesting. So quickly, I'll show you. You will see a pre-built, pre-installed server. So you come here, you can add here. If you want a discount coupon, it allows you to get even more discounts. In fact, here's the coupon that you can add, apply it here, and the price. It will be even more attractive. And here, you won't actually choose the operating system if you can continue directly. And afterwards, in the setup, you will simply select n8n so that n8n installs on your VPS and you start directly. In fact, with the addition of new workflows, I return to the tool where we actually did the SMS integration. So if I copy this here, I return to the workflow, I can simply come here and paste this workflow. So if I notice, look, I have an even more developed workflow, and you will see that it actually suggested adding this node. Yes, that's what's interesting for beginners. If you don't know your node, don't worry, you type here and the system will actually take care of providing it to you. What is the special and specific node that helps you perform that operation? And of course there you will simply start configuring. It directly provides you with the documentation here. You click and it guides you step by step. How to use Twilio to send SMS. And that in fact is very interesting with the n8n tool because the documentation is really top notch. And as a beginner, if you start and begin creating workflows in this way, you will progress very, very quickly. So I would also like to add here, if I go, for example, let's go there. For instance, we will try to find a workflow specific. So here we will search. In fact, where there is, I can do the extraction of internal links, for example, from a web page. So internal extract links. And here we will do from web page. This is a simple example. In fact, okay, so I start searching for this workflow. This is another way to do it here. I find a workflow, in fact, which is premium. it costs $3. It's 20 days since it was set up. If I enter this one, so this one is premium, but still there are all the descriptions here. So what I'm going to do, if I'm obviously going to use it, is I can just increase the size a little bit. I even increase the size of my screen. There you go. See this workflow here? I'm simply going to take a screenshot here. So we're going to do a simple screenshot like this. Okay, like I took a screenshot when I can also actually take advantage of it. There you go. To copy the entire description, even the setup and everything. So these are very interesting data. Look, if I come here, I'm going to start a new chat. Be careful, not a new chat. We really had to work on this GTS here. So I launch here. So now I'm going to go to the screenshot. So I'm going to choose my screenshot. It's that one. Oh, there you go. I just took my large print and now I'm actually going to copy the information. So what I put, and I can ask it if I want it to launch for me. In fact, the creation actually of this system, after all, in fact, it's up to you to decide if you want it to make the exact creation of this system. So I can tell it just before, there you go, to make the exact creation for me. So there you go. And I actually launch it and I asked it to add some information stickers and I launch my system. So as a result, what it will do, if it needs to ask for information, it will ask me in relation to nodes, in relation to strategic choices, because sometimes to create a scenario, it asks if you already have the configuration or not, or if there are 2 nodes you can use or 2 modules, which one you prefer. If I use OpenAI as an artificial intelligence model, it might actually ask me which model, which version. So in this case, it didn't ask me, it just sent the code directly. I'm waiting here for it to finish creating. That's what's very interesting. The documentation is very good in terms of information, in terms of code clarity. And then when I copy, we'll copy that. I can come back, of course, here. I can go up just there. And there you go. We're going to paste our system here. So here, it just did for me the information of this system. So as a result, I have somewhere here the workflow. I can force it to work a workflow directly from an image. So here, if we go back there to the workflow system, I can give it just the image. So here I will upload the image. There you go. I have the image. So then at the image level, I will ask it to do something for me. The same, I start it. The same thing. If I don't have the description, if I have the image, because sometimes, you know, on Facebook or rather LinkedIn or even YouTube, I see several people sharing their workflow without providing explanations. If you like the workflow, if you like the idea, if you want to take it up a bit, and sometimes you see the nodes and you don't understand that one, how it was created, where it is located, what needs to be typed. Listen, it's simple. I come here, I make a screenshot like I'm doing right here. There you go. I take a screenshot like this. Globally, I need to have taken that screenshot there. Look, it's an image. Actually, it's an image, and I can applaud this system. And there you go, and the system. In fact, it will do the work and provide a complete explanation. So if I come back here, we'll see, look here. Actually, there you go. It just asked me for several pieces of information regarding this image. There. It asked me for information regarding a work. Which one do you want to choose? Regarding the agency you want to work with. Which model, the React, the function. In any case, it gives me much more details and information. I'll just keep it short. I'll ask it to make the choice it wants as long as it gives me an operational workflow. So there he will leave. Obviously, he makes his selection for me. There you go. So that's what it did. The model will work with that model. The type of agent will work with that type. And then it actually moves on to programming. So as you have seen, the ability to start a workflow already prefabricated by AI is very important. It's true that it won't give you everything right away. An operational workflow, that's for sure. We agree that you will need to connect to set up your credentials, your account in relation to the node. But still, for a beginner, a workflow or even a first step version 0 that is done quickly. It allows you to move very quickly. Instead of focusing on or spending time figuring out how to create, how to set up the trigger, how to send and everything, it would be better to use a system. And then little by little here, attention, I want to emphasize this, very important. Then to use the chat again to configure the nodes, to change the nodes, to add nodes, to better understand the workflow. This is very important. It was really necessary to continue the discussion because for me, to achieve a complete workflow thanks to this GTS I ask in several questions and make several requests and several correction requests, especially so that it can actually give me a final version. And in general, it makes me win a lot of time. So we are going to test this last one. So here I will do a little copy, then I will go up there. We will just paste it here, right here to make the difference. Actually, we trace these two and I see here, in fact, it just gave me a system look. So we will go up a bit more. There you go. A bit more developed. It obviously gives me the information here regarding the tools it used. React, so the agent. It's true that here it obviously lacks the ability to actually connect this agent. And that's why I can ask it, in fact, to give me more details about the collection of this agent. If I click on the agent, we will try to see a little bit. So there you go. This is my agent, which is placed there. It's the time tool. This 2 is the final one. Chat response. So I think it has been set up. So this module here for the final response. Therefore, it's very important to create questionnaires related to this tool. To truly have the most optimal workflow to start well with n8n. Now, while creating workflows with AI is very interesting, it allows us to discover the nodes. It allows us to have this discussion with the AI that will assist us. It's like a coach. But be careful to create slightly more complex workflows, much more developed with really ultra-precise connections. It's very important to invest in training on workflows that are developed from A to Z by experts. And at that moment, you will see, if you go back to AI prefabricated workflows, you will have a speed in connecting them together and understanding the additions and especially understanding how to ask the right question. And here I can offer you a very interesting solution, which is to join a package or a training pack that I have created especially for you, where they will allow you to go very, very far and become an expert in it. So you will simply access my website, Der Verrassvip. On this site, you will actually find a selection of 20 courses that actually contain 100 hours of lessons. The courses range from beginner to expert. You will find everything related to automation, no-code, and artificial intelligence. I actually start with the basics and gradually we will level up. There are several workflows to work on and there are several practical workshops. And above all, you will find source codes ready to be downloaded, deployed, and tested. The goal is that if you watch an hour and a half of videos per day after 2 months, you will be able to create your own workflow and develop complex systems ready to be used in your company or even to be sold. So accessing the training here is very simple. You will enter your email address here. You need to type the email address and you will also use my promo code YT20. So this is a code I have provided for my YouTube community. This will obviously give you an additional discount and you will of course have a 14-day guarantee, which means after 14 days. Generally, if you manage to see about 20 hours, you will feel that your level has just advanced. And you will of course handle and use workflows much more easily. So the guarantee is 14 days. If after 14 days you haven't made progress, you can simply send an email and I will refund you the full amount of your payment. Once you have access to the course, you will see that you, of course, depending on the package you have chosen, you will have access to Dr. Firas' courses. So all of these are my courses that are also available on Udemy, of course. But here, the price is different. It's simply a package for my community to encourage them to move forward and learn much more easily with a much lower cost. If I take, for example, one of the courses, if I click here, you will always find that I start with what we call course support, where I provide you with access to information, Flores words, download PDFs, and in all the courses that are organized in this way, it is always on the left next to the different videos. If you click, there you go. It will give you direct access to the video where I guide you, step by step, to be able to solve, enhance, or create your workflow in a very simple and smooth way. So, always at the end of the course, you will have a final practical workshop where you will test your skills to ensure that you are capable of making those creations. I thank you very much and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.